2021 Tesla Model 3 Standard Plus. I can guarantee that this will be possibly my most polarizing video, no matter what I say or think about the car. It's a good car, it just happens to come with baggage. Okay, so let it be known that I like this car. I think it is a good car. Unlike the BMW i3, this feels like a normal car that you can use outside the city. The acceleration transplants you to a childlike state, and the infotainment features enough dumb Easter eggs to keep a man-child like me entertained for hours. But, and this is a very big but, this car comes with baggage courtesy of the CEO Elon Musk and the company as a whole. The dude is a living embodiment of a cult of personality. Yes, he says a lot of things, and he makes a lot of promises that may or may not have been met. Already, I can hear my comment section filling up because I'm not straight up idolizing him. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to rant on about the issues with his years of promise making and boasting. There's so much already out there from people who actually know what they're talking about, so I'm not going to be another hack ranting about the baggage that Elon brings here. Instead, I'm going to be another hack car reviewer and try to focus on the car itself, a 2021 Tesla Model 3 Standard Plus. This is the entry-level car for the American electric car manufacturer, Tesla. The Model 3, as it's stated in its name, is the number 3 in the current lineup, behind the flagship Model S sedan and the Model X crossover. This was supposed to be the Model E, but Ford had trademarked that, unfortunately. Or fortunately, no matter, depends on what you think. Elon doesn't really count the original Roadster because that was a very different product that made a lot of concessions considering it was essentially an electric Lotus, rather than being its own complete in-house product. It had a lot of compromises made to say that car was a learning experience for the brand. The Tesla Model 3 Standard Plus, or the Standard Plus, is the current base model for the Model 3, as the cheap Standard that started at $35,000 was discontinued for the 2021 model year. The Standard Plus starts at $39,990 and features a single motor power in the rear wheels and features a slight bump in range over the Standard, an EPA rated of 263 miles versus 220. While not offering the range of the long-range all-wheel drive or the performance, it's still a quick car. The single electric motor powering the rear wheels produces 211 kilowatts, which is somewhere around 283 horsepower when you do all the funky math to convert it to freedom units. The curb weight for this Standard Plus is 3,627 pounds, which isn't as bad as I thought it would be for an electric car. 0 to 60 is in 5.3 seconds, but it's that instant acceleration at any speed that you really notice. Like, 40 to 80 feels just as quick as 0 to 60. And you feel it. It's no plaid or ludicrous mode, but compared to a modern AN car, man, oh man, this thing moves. If you're not paying attention, your head will snap into the headrest. And after a few launches, it was honestly kind of making me nauseous. I was already feeling kind of crap during the day of filming, but yeah, I had to tell the owner, my boss Carl Long, to quit it just for a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, this is another one of Carl Long's cars. Back in May, I filmed his latest shop acquisition, the 1992 Honda Active 4-wheel drive STX, and I've been on him since he acquired this Model 3 for his wife Dee Dee back in June to film as well. Dee Dee had been dailying a 2014 Chevrolet Suburban for about 5 years now, and with running the kids everywhere between school, sports, and dance, it was becoming really expensive to fill up. Carl mentioned something about having to spend well over $200 a week to fill up that thing. Now, Carl, like most car guys his age, or car guys in general, has always kind of poo-pooed electric cars. But this past spring, while we were on our West Coast swing, he spent a bunch of time in a sponsor's Model S. He was sold then and there on the electric car, and soon was shopping around for one for Dee Dee. Originally, he was shopping for used Model 3s, but after finding out they were holding their value very stupidly, he just spent a little over what those were going for and got this 2021 Model 3 Standard Plus that you see here today. Now, after living with the Model 3 for about 3 months now, Dee Dee absolutely loves it. Of course, it's much more maneuverable than the big old Burb, and the large trunk fits plenty of their kids' school gear and sports gear. They're definitely noticing that astronomical fuel bill for that Suburban is no longer there, and they've noticed maybe a $20 a month uptick in their electric bill since charging the Tesla at home is an option for them. Honestly, home electric rates tend to go up a little bit during the summer, so that's probably on par. Heck, before MBM Motorsports, Carl often ran one or two of his race cars out of his garage at his house, so he already has a 240 volt setup to plug into. So charging the Tesla at night is nothing for them. Also, unlike Doug and his woes with the i3, Tesla actually has a halfway decent charging network, so Dee Dee has no problem taking the Model 3 to the occasional trip to Myrtle Beach. And that's been the big plus a Model 3 has had something over like an i3, because it's simply much more livable as a daily driver that can occasionally go on a weekend trip. The 263 mile range is something close to a small performance premium car. With that i3, I really had crippling anxiety over the range of that car. Until we made it back to Doug's house on that filming day, I was so uneasy about how close we might cut it with that range. With the Model 3, Dee Dee can do all her errands and run around, and just plug it in when she gets home. Also, this feels like a serious attempt at making an electric car. The i3 was widely weird and futuristic, and while I liked it for that, the feeling like a concept car that you drove on the street kinda felt like you were making some concessions. The Model 3, on the other hand, actually feels like an actual production car. Not the car world embodiment of Squidward lying on the floor in chrome bikini bottom and screaming, "Future!" So, circling back to the car itself, I gotta make some things clear here. Like all cars, I do have some likes and gripes to this car. Yes, Stans, no car is perfect. There's always some design choices or shortcomings or just plain ergonomics that you may not 100% be behind. It's whether or not you're willing to compromise with said design, ergonomics, or simple build quality in purchasing a car. If you're enthusiastic enough about a car and you're willing to purchase it and live with it, more power to you. But no sane person's gonna find every car 100% perfect. This not only goes towards Tesla stands, but American muscleheads, import kids, brodozers, or any diehard group with their particular niche within the car community. They just stand behind their particular corner, and they just scream into the ether that everyone else is wrong. Sorry, just sometimes other people may not like your thing. Just live with it. I like the styling of the Model 3. It's clean, it's elegant, the very short nose provides excellent forward visibility. It honestly reminds me something like a first-gen Dodge Neon, where Chrysler was proudly boasting their cab-forward design to improve interior space, provide better visibility, and increase overall maneuverability by moving the front wheels forward. The minimalist interior does look neat. The vents are unified into this single line all the way across the dash, and overall, everything looks clean and futuristic. While BMW was doing funky shapes and materials in the i3, Tesla took to making a clean sheet design that stands out compared to a lot of cluttered premium car interiors with the overall abundance of screens and buttons that you see in those cars. Now, Tesla's solution to cleaning everything up was simply combine the controls to everything into the tablet into the center of the dash. You still have stocks for the shifter and the wiper blinker, but every control is in the screen now. Which, personally, I think is a step too far. I get it, by removing buttons and consolidating everything into the screen, you're cleaning up buttons and removing potential long-term failure points. But I don't need to go through different screens to change HVAC settings, radio settings, navigation, everything that you would normally not look at or just hit to adjust. It now requires like just a little bit extra attention to make sure that you're performing the action you actually want to perform. Muscle memory is a thing, and a lot of car manufacturers know this. By removing simple button or knob tasks, you're requiring more of the driver's attention to perform said task, like changing a blower fan speed or change the radio volume. That's what I kind of like the interior in my Malibu, and I know I'm comparing apples to oranges here, but you got infotainment in the screen, and then you got HVAC separate. I could just reach over, hit a button, and not even have to look at it. It's just that little extra time. I don't really like it in the Model 3. Now, Autopilot, I know, scream at me. I briefly tried it, and while it does perform decent as an assisted cruise control system, I wouldn't really ask it to do much else. This is not an autonomous driving system. Again, scream at me all you want. It's an assisted cruise control. Again, scream at me all you want. But this system, it just wanders far too much into lanes for my liking, and not seeing cars and obstacles appear on the dash screen without them right up next to the car kind of made me nervous that if the car was actually picking some of them up. I just don't quite trust it. Even before having to maintain some weight to the steering wheel at all times, I just simply wasn't sold that this was more than a slightly more advanced cruise control. It's a fun gimmick in a controlled setting, but driving around Statesville, North Carolina, there's a lot of stuff going on in that little town. I was just simply nervous using this system more than a normal cruise control. Finally, there comes the quality or lack of quality control that many buyers have found with their Model 3s and have taken to the internet. With as many horror stories about panels falling off and welds failing on critical chassis and suspension components, I was kind of nervous when Carl proudly stated he was buying one, but honestly, after sitting with it, this one feels put together pretty good. Panel gaps don't just jump right out, and they haven't really noticed any horror stories about interior components falling off or everything just not working. But personally, this feels like an instance where they got lucky with their particular car, rather just than overall build quality from the brand. All car companies aren't perfect, but Tesla seems to have a lot more issues than many of some existing notable not perfect brands. Anyways, yeah, the controls in the screen, Autopilot being oversold to what I really think it is, and the overall long-term reliability of such a car, really my only gripes on this Model 3. Moving past those three key details, I think it's still a good car, but it does come with baggage. Yes, it's a really fun car, and I will stand that, yeah, it's a good car despite some of the weirder design choices. But the brand and its CEO is so polarizing, you almost have to default to the discussion of turning to those rather than the car itself, which is a shame because I actually like this car. It's just unfortunate that it's come to this. I know, I'm sure there's just been screaming in the comments from the start of this video. My comments are going to be flooded from people from all sides concerning everything that has to do with the company, the CEO, me even talking about the car, and then the car itself. Despite all that baggage, one has to credit Tesla for making an EV like the 2021 Tesla Model 3 Standard Plus something you can actually live with on a daily basis, rather than making a weird plaything that's only really ideal as a second car for cities. Looking at you, BMW. But yeah, I kind of had to separate the car from the greater discussion about the brand. I'm really not the one to discuss those issues, and there's just so much good content out there from people who actually know what they're talking about. I'm just some dummy who likes cars, especially weird ones, and this one, it's a good car. This video is probably running really long right now, and I'm only scratching the surface with Tesla, so yeah, let's end it at that. 2021 Tesla Model 3 Standard Plus. It's a good electric car that just happens to come with a lot of baggage. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. Huge shout out to Carl Long and his wife Dee Dee for letting me drive and film their Tesla Model 3 for this episode. If you don't know, Carl is a longtime journeyman NASCAR driver turned owner, and he's the key figurehead in the small team known as MBM Motorsports. So yeah, be sure to follow MBM on all social media platforms, and follow Carl's Carl Long Motorsports page on Facebook. If you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show and happen to be in and around the Charlotte, North Carolina area, feel free to email me at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That's right, submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com, and hopefully we can work something out. Be sure to follow my Twitter and Instagram for more Wookie rants, raves, and shenanigans. Follow my Facebook page at facebook.com/wookiedrives for channel updates. And finally, feel free to drop a comment. I'm sure you already have. Share with all your Tesla and EV friends to show how much of an idiot I am. I'm sure you already have. And hit that like button if you just happen to like this video for some reason. Anyways, subscribe for more Wookie Drives like these, and have a good day.